the House Relate podcast. I'm here with Devyn Lowry. Hello.
Hi there. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, it's just another day in paradise as a startup founder.
Yeah. How is being a startup founder these days?
Um, it's like a pendulum. It's constantly swinging from watching other people like suck on the tailpipe of whatever big tech is doing in a given moment to, get VC money or people actually tackling real problems with real solutions. So it's
Okay.
stressful to say the least.
It sounds stressful. Okay, because I feel like generally we think
Yeah.
we the public who are not in startup land. We
We the
hear
people.
about like
Yep.
yes, we the people who are not in founder startup land are we hear about startups, AI, VC. You just got off of Tech Week in New York.
Oh yeah.
Just like all the things that we like are surrounding it, but to actually be in it,
Yeah.
it's a different ball game.
Oh,
So
it's
like,
nuts.
yeah. So like, what is it like?
Yeah. All right. So my entire career has been in startups. I have been like the fourth team member at four different startups. Um, like literally the fourth person. So it's like, it's wearing a lot of hats all the time. Yeah, you might get hired, like in my case, as a product designer or, someone doing creative marketing. And then you end up doing business ops and people management and, this, that, and the other thing. So it's literally a game of wearing a different hat, depending on the day of the week, or the minute of the hour. But for me, I always compare it to it's like doing like working at startups like the best drug you can do, for people who enjoy it anyway. Um, I like to build things, I like to create things and solve problems. So for me, it's kind of a no brainer in that regard.
Sure. I mean, you're getting all the dopamine hits.
Yeah, yeah, literally. Oh yeah. It's so nuts. It's so nuts. And as somebody with ADHD, like those dopamine hits get me through the day. It's
Oh
great.
yeah, for sure. Because there's so many things you can focus on or not focus on. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
variety is vast.
Oh yeah. Big time. Big time. I remember, let's see, I have so many stories I can tell. I remember one time I was working on this product for, what was it? It was like a Shopify-ish competitor. And I was hired on as like a UX designer, which is, for layman's terms, like I decide where the rectangles on your screen that you interact with are going to go. I don't make them pretty, or I didn't in that role anyway. I just placed where they were going to go and what they were going to do, pretty much. And I just remember I was like jumping in and out of, all right, I'm in sketch 1 minute and then I'm on an engineering call doing like, oh wait, no, this is supposed to interact like this and like this. And then I'm on a stakeholder call with investors and like other like leadership, just constantly giving updates and running around. So it's a lot, but it's fun.
That is a lot.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like,
Yeah.
listen, and that is also like, that probably described 2 hours of a day. That's like not like a whole, like, that's like probably 2 hours of a single day.
So, what do you think character qualities? What do you
Yeah.
think draws people to startup land? If someone is like, hey, I'm looking to either be a founder of a startup or work in one, what qualities would I need to have to be in this type of environment?
I think you've got a lot of answers, depending on who you ask, and what it is that you're actually, what space, the word space gets tossed around a lot. The health tech space, biotech state, the different category that you're actually building in. Um, but for me, the only thing that I look for, like whenever I've hired people, I look for inquisitiveness, I look for empathy, and I look for problem solving, like the want to solve problems. and constantly like iterate and improve on top of them.
Why do you think empathy is a core skill that someone needs to have?
Well, I think when you're building anything or like honestly doing anything, you need to have empathy for your fellow person. Right. But when you're working in tech, you have to be able to, and a lot of people say that some people will say like this is just for product designers, UI, UX designers, or whatever to deal with because we are designing the interactions and the software and whatever it looks like and how people are going to interact with. So it's important for us to be able to empathize with the users, the potential users, and figure out what they might be going through in a given day and struggling with, and how we can make it so whatever app it is or software it is that they're using, we can make that more frictionless. So um, but I think it's good for everybody to have on a team. I don't care if you're working in finance. I don't care if you're an engineer who never speaks to customers, and users. I really don't care. I think if you're not able to put yourself in the shoes of another person and understand the impact of what you're building will have on them and how it might make their day just a little bit better, um, then that's not going to be great if you can't do that. Ultimately, it's going to affect the quality of the product and how people actually interact and perceive it.
Right, because you're building for human problems. No matter what
Exactly.
you're building for humans. Right.
That's exactly
So
right.
empathy being a key quality that you're going to need to have to even say, even if I don't work in a doctor's office, I
Yeah.
can understand how this might be a problem for a nurse who's trying to write her notes and get on to the next patient. So
Exactly.
I'm going to empathize with that person's problem to want to create a frictionless way of doing things or to want to create a solve for that so that
Exactly.
their day goes better.
Exactly. And I think it even stretches beyond okay, what does their process look like? Right?
Mm.
Like what is the process you're trying to make more frictionless? I think it goes into like if you're building tech for a field like medicine, for example, you really need to examine also how are these people treated, right? By the industry, by society largely. Because ultimately, those core values that you decide to, if you're a startup founder or whatever, that you decide to build your company with, caring about how those people are actually treated in their job, in their career by the people who interact with them is going to also lend a hell of a lot more insight into the decisions that you need to make when you're building that product and what business decisions you make if you're like a founder and how you organize the business model, the revenue model, the business model, plans for the product planning, the whole nine. You need to understand your user as a whole, not just like the process that you're trying to simplify or make more frictionless.
How is that talked about? How is that operationalized in a startup?
Talk to people. All right. I think that one of the best things that you can possibly do as a builder in a startup, especially as a startup founder, is to have conversations with people and ask them questions. Assume when you're in those conversations that everything that you think you know is wrong, and own that, and then ask them questions about what their day and what their lives are actually like, and whether or not you're actually on the right track, because that's going to validate if you're even doing the right thing or not.
Yeah.
Talk to people. It's very simple. It's what we've been doing it for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Communication, talk to your fellow person. It's a great trick. It's a great task to get into.
Right. Back in grad school, I took this class called motivational interviewing, and it's a
Mhm.
class that was more geared towards if you're going into substance use, but it really could be used for anything. And
Yeah.
oh my gosh, to test me on this acronym is going to really rack my brain. But there's an acronym called OARS, and it's basically asking
Okay.
open-ended questions, affirming, reflecting, and summarizing. There
Yeah.
you go. So
Good
when,
job.
thank you, I appreciate it. I was impressed myself. Didn't know I was going to remember all that. Um, so what the technique is that you're getting to know someone in a non-judgmental way by asking them
Yeah.
open-ended questions and leaning into curiosity. Then
Mhm.
you're kind of like affirming that what you're hearing them say. So what I'm hearing you say is that you have to be wearing so many hats as a startup founder and it can feel stressful. Is that what I'm hearing
Yeah,
you say? And then you can
absolutely.
interact with that. Right. And then it's like, okay, now I'm gonna like reflect on what you said and then summarize it. So the last three parts are kind of like, intertwined in terms of like how you do it.
Totally.
But they use it a lot in sales or they use it a lot in business development.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's basically you're getting to know the people that you're serving. So
100%.
it's like therapy counseling techniques,
Yeah.
but it's really like human techniques. Here's a framework to generally get to know other people.
Yeah. And, it's funny. I started my career, even when I was like a little snot-nosed kid, like 4 years old and whatever, I originally thought I wanted to design video games. But as I got older and stopped playing video games as much, I was just on the internet more. I was like, okay, I want to design apps. I want to design websites. So I've been designing stuff forever. But as I got better at design and like into it more and more, I realized I'm like, can I swear?
Yes.
Okay. Holy shit. I'm just using psychology here. It's all psychology, right? It's kind of interesting because a lot of the principles that I use, even in the actual design, like the actual work, the creative work of design, um, I'm using a lot of psychology, like Gestalt, like a lot of principles there. But also like when I'm having conversations with people and interviewing them, like you were saying, like it's all design. It's all psychology, I should say. And that's actually, one of the, back of my brain reasons of why I went back to school to get a psych degree to complement my web design degree. Because they're so related, they're so interconnected. And I think what a lot of people, I think it's a lot more interconnected in like the other parts of working in tech too, especially engineering, um, for sure.
It's so interesting because the stereotypical way that engineering is talked about is that it's
Yeah.
you picture like just to be, blunt, I guess. It's
Go
like
for it.
bunch of nerds in a room. Everyone is like
Yeah.
in on their computer. They don't care what's happening in the outside world. And
Yeah.
they're like, but does it work? But does it work? I don't care how you feel about it. Does it work? And that's this sort of like idea I think that we have of
Yeah.
how engineering goes. And it's just that it's very much analytical over emotional and that it gets reinforced by being like, yes, please keep doing the analytical thing. We don't really care
Yeah.
about the or the emotional pieces.
And that's funny. And I honestly think we're doing a lot of people a disservice by like siloing engineering like that. Um, I view engineering as one of the most creative acts that you can do because there's a art to it, to being a good engineer, right? You have to be willing and able to like do creative problem solving. Okay. Uh, I need to accomplish X task. There are probably 30 different ways I can do it. Let me find the most efficient way, right? It's honestly almost like you're writing a good novel with the end result being it worked, right? But you need to lead through all of the different characters and the narratives and like how you got through each challenge that you faced. And at the end, yes, it's extremely, it's like the end of a good book, right? And it's like, yes, it worked. And that's the outcome of the book, like that the hero gets to in the end. But I truly believe like engineers are like, they should explore that and be encouraged to explore that creativity more instead of being like, oh, it's so analytical and like, does it work? Because like those stereotypes, they don't come from nowhere. Right. But yeah, I truly think we should be encouraging engineers to explore that creativity and the view themselves more as storytellers than anything else.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Because you're right. It's a creative act to make a product
Yeah.
in any way, shape, or form.
Mhm. Not even tech. I mean, like if you're a baker, right?
Right.
And you're baking a cake, right? That is like, how do you decide what frosting you want to do, right? Like maybe you want to throw a fun twist in there and throw some nutmeg in a traditionally nutmegless cake, um, any product, anything that you create and like will into existence that's never been done before is a creative act and should be celebrated as such in every discipline. I don't care what career you're in, it should be celebrated as such.
Right. The term creator has been adopted into the more influencer content creation
Hmm.
space, but I think that it's really, if we take creator as part of an identity for each of us, then
Yeah.
if it's identifying with like, I'm a creator,
Yeah.
how does that manifest in any direction? Like
Yeah.
you're saying, I'm a baker, or I teach yoga, or I play pickleball, and whatever it might be, that it's like that it is. There's a level of art to almost anything you can do.
100%. And it's like those imperceptible little like human moments that we have, right? Like you said, like yoga teacher, right? What are you creating? Somebody might be asking there. Like I'm creating space for somebody to get through their day with a little bit more peace and calm. That like you're guiding somebody through exercise, yeah, sure. But like yoga is definitely more of a, it's contemplative, so you're creating that space, you're creating the room to grow. Yeah.
For
It's
sure.
just like a very human thing
It
to
is.
create things.
It is. And I mean, to borrow, I guess, Brene Brown's from the vulnerability piece of it, like, because
Yeah.
it is like it's a level of exposure and uncertainty that goes
Mhm.
along. Like, I'm exposing myself in the sense that this is something I made, I'm sharing it with you. I don't know if you're gonna like it or not. I have no
Yeah.
idea. And I just know that I can be here to maybe, let's say, taking yoga as an example, I can be here to lead the class. I can be here
Yes.
as a presence. I know that what I can control. But then there's a
Yeah.
lot of factors that I can't. I can't control that you're tired. I can't control if you don't like the playlist. I can't control,
All right. All of these
hot
things.
outside. Yeah, that the heat's coming in through the outside door. Yeah, it's like whatever it might be. But
Yeah.
but it's still this level of like, let's see what happens. Like with all
Totally.
certain moments, I think that is where the let's see what happens. It creates a
Yeah.
level of human connection in that mystery. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I don't know. I would like to see us societally, and I think like with AI and stuff, like I could rant on this, right? But like I want to see us getting back to putting more stock in creativity and the act of creation for the sake of creation, and encouraging people that not everything needs to have a point. Not everything needs to push you forwards to getting 30,000 followers or whatever. Just to start enjoying things again, hobbies, whatever. Because a lot of people today, they're like, this is mainly in the US anyway, in Western countries, right? But it's like, okay, why are you doing that? But why? Like, what does that get you? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm just enjoying it, right? Like, I think we need to start reframing a lot of things back to that, just enjoying things for the sake of enjoying them.
Right. Right. That we're so become so outcome focused
Yeah, yeah.
that we've lost.
And with AI, that like we have lost the plot 100%. And with AI, that just amplifies that, like outcome, outcome, outcome. Outcome focused. It's amplifies that to no end.
So you're on the inside of this. What's it like being way in the know around tech, AI, like all these things, while because you're also creating a product called Ocean Labs. It's a very human-centered product, and we'll get to that in a second. But like, what's it like? It's like what's it like being on the inside? Because imagine there's tension between
Yeah,
these parts, and especially when we're talking about raising money,
yeah.
whether it's a VC, PE, or however it's being raised.
Angel investors,
Angel
whatever. Yeah.
investors, right, right. Like I can only imagine the complexities to this.
Oh, it's nuts. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Um, and sorry, I'm missing your question.
Yeah,
Sorry.
like what's like balancing all of this as a founder who's
Yeah.
going like, I am working on solving. Well, let's go with this. What Ocean Labs?
Yeah.
What is Ocean Labs?
Um, we see a huge problem in the mental health space, right? Not to simplify mental health care down to space. because it's very complicated. And the problem is that, and I get angry about this. The problem is that both patients and providers, therapists, clients, whatever, however you refer to these people who are vulnerable and need care or are goddamn superheroes and giving it, they're being abused by the system, by our systems that we have in the country, whether that be uh, not even being able to find a therapist that works for you, but you have all of these companies that are saying, yeah, we're gonna match, when really they're just doing database filtering. Or, when you're giving care, therapists, mental health therapists, and clinicians are, that's the only, like really the only field of medicine, like medical professionals, where they're pretty much by default required to run their own business, to do their jobs. And yes, you could go the community route. Yes, you could work in a group practice. But there are ups and downs to all of it, right? So, but like they're pretty much required to open their own business to do their jobs, despite receiving no training in how to run business. So we've created this system where therapists are getting overworked and underpaid by, the I won't even bother giving their names attention companies. Some of them start with an H, some of them start with a B, some of them start with an A, some of them start with a T, but they're getting abused and taken advantage of. And we're hoping to solve that and fix that and be very human about it in what we do. So our first thing that we're doing is, how do people find care? How do you actually get access to care, and what matters, or what actually matters when you're trying to find care? Because I can tell you this, it's very well researched, but for some reason, no product is using this treasure trove of research into actually building something that helps people find care the way that the research says that they should. So we're doing that. And we found a way to predict the therapeutic relationship that you're going to have with your clinician. And that is 90% of what leads to positive outcomes. As Brittani, you're shaking your head there, right? You're nodding your head. It's 90% of what leads to a positive outcome. So we should be matching accordingly. But we're starting with that, and then we'll build yet another EHR, but we're betting that we can do it better, and we're going to pull every tool, service, feature that you could possibly need to run your practice and put it all in one place so you don't have to pay for 30 different things. Connect that directly to a care management so your patients and clients can get easy access to managing their care without having to use an app like, I will call this one out, MyChart, because it doesn't work. It barely functions. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's, so yes, I have found a lot of these frustrations, honestly, on both ends, because I
Yeah.
have a lot of people who ask me, do you know of anyone? People ask me for referrals all the time. And
Yeah.
whether that's friends, family, other therapists in the community who are like, do you know anyone? And I host therapist networking events. So it's like, I try and create almost this haphazard, in my own way, database of people. But
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
then to find someone with availability, or what insurance are they taking?
Mhm.
And there's these Facebook groups and things that people
Yeah.
try and advertise themselves on, but you just
Listservs.
listservs, right? Because of
Yeah.
Psychology Today, which is I
Yeah.
also can't stand. But
Yeah.
there's a bunch of these that are out there, and I think that this is where, kind of what you're saying, this the technology one, I think, is a little outdated, because like you're saying, they're just pulling from databases, and they're
They're
like,
just,
oh,
it's not even like actual matching. It's just filtering.
it's
It's like
filtering.
not right.
It's not anything.
Right.
And the frustrations around the amount of people who will say, I had an awful experience in therapy. I had an
Yeah.
awful experience in treatment. I did not get along with a previous provider, or whatever it might be. And it's like, this could have easily been solved. because
Yeah.
or this
We
could
have the
easily
technology.
distract.
We have had the technology. And that's, this all like for me, like this, I've been in therapy for 24 years. I'm 28. So that's just under 2.5 decades since I was 4. So I've had an excellent experience in therapy. Like I have had the best experience, but I'm also like ridiculously lucky that I have had such a great experience in therapy, no matter what provider I saw. Ridiculously lucky that that's the case. And not everyone is, right? And I've seen that firsthand. I had a very close family friend who was, when they were 13, it was about 6 years ago. They were really struggling, and their parent tried to get them in therapist after therapist after therapist, but they just didn't click. And watching that happen to them, I was like furious. I was like, this is a solvable problem, right? This is not something this doesn't need to be this way. So, I saw that and saw that suffering that this family friend was going through. And I was like, I need to do something about it. And that's where this started for me, was ensuring that people don't have to go through that suffering that 13-year-old girl was going through. That's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous and heartbreaking. But it's not on the therapists. It's not the therapist's fault that they didn't, click or whatever. Everybody has different preferences. Everybody has different needs. And they all need to be accounted for. So it's really on the platforms and how they, are doing a really piss poor job at claiming to solve these problems. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's the onus is on the people claiming to solve the problems and actually doing nothing about it.
Right. Right. It mirrors dating apps.
Uh-huh. The guy had
So
one of the
think, yeah.
Yeah. I had one of the clinicians that signed up to do our beta. They were like, "Oh, it's like Tinder for therapists," and I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, pretty much. This first thing is, yeah, yeah, pretty much. Except we actually want you to get matched. Tinder
Right.
makes money off of you coming back and opening the app, not actually
Right.
giving you matches. So,
We are actually trying to match you with your
right,
best fit, not just, hey, looks like this might work. We don't know.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the strategies we're doing. Like the way that I like formulated the product. I'm like, I'm not in the business of doing half-assed matches. If I don't have somebody that I am confident in matching you with, on either side, I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to tell the user that. I'm going to tell them that, and I'm going to say like, I'm going to go pick up the phone. I'm going to take a look at their profile and what they put, and I will personally go pick up the goddamn phone and start calling therapists in their area and like having conversations with the clinicians about like what this person's looking for and whatever, and go from there to get them care. I don't care. It's too important to get wrong, because the consequences of doing a poor match are too real. So I'd rather, at that point, if we don't have somebody in our network, I'd rather pick up the phone and start calling clinicians locally to them that get them match myself.
Like this has become a personal matchmaking service. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm on vendetta here. I'm ready to knock down walls. I'm pissed.
Yeah. I mean, more than understandably so. The story that you told about your family friend, it resonates because the amount of people that I've heard, honestly, this is one of the most common stories. I started going to therapy when I was, say, 11, 12, 13, when my parents got divorced.
Yeah,
And it was a terrible experience, and I never want to go back.
yeah.
And I feel like that it's a common story that I've just kind of heard through
Lice.
life and just,
Yeah,
yeah, like kind of hear of it. And I think about it and I'm like, I can only imagine what it would be like for an adolescent going through, first off, adolescence in general, and like just
it's rough.
being
Kids are mean
rough.
sometimes.
Just, yes, just
Yeah,
that alone is
yeah.
like awful, dramatic every day.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
then on top of having your family system being shaken up and your parents aren't even in therapy, but you are. So now it
yeah,
looks like now I'm the problem. And now I have this
yeah,
person who's a stranger going like, well, tell me how you feel about it. And you're like, I don't want to say anything that's going to either upset one parent or the other, or I feel like
Yeah.
I don't want to say anything that's going to like, get me in trouble, or
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to you. Like, well, you don't know me from Adam. So why
Right.
would I talk to you? So, and I just feel like that story, like for what you shared, but like that, like common story that I've
Yeah.
heard throughout life is just one of many where the system starts to break down for people. And then
Yeah.
it's I don't ever want to see someone again. Or it's like now
Right.
I don't think this thing will ever work for me. And it's
Yeah.
like and then I'm like,
It's
that's the
heartbreaking.
exact reason right. And I'm like, that's the exact reason why you need it more now than ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly right. And you know what? The way that we look at it is like if we can, as close as humanly possible, predict that you're going to sit down in your clinician's office and you guys are going to get along really well. If we can, those first experiences, if we can make sure that those first experiences are great, then that really could change the tide for somebody and how they experience life. And and to your point, I want to touch on specifically around like, okay, children in therapy, right? Um, that relationship is very specific. So something like we can't do children matching yet, right? We need to figure that out because we also need to figure out a way that ensures that if you're of the majority age for being able to get yourself care in your state, we need to make sure that your right to privacy is going to be respected and that you're not going to get belittled or berated or in trouble um, from your parents or even have your safety threatened because you went to therapy and said something. A lot of people, it's a safety issue. If you're part of the LGBTQ community, like that becomes a huge like safety problem. If you're not out to your parents and you go to therapy and then you come out to your therapist and then your parent, because you're under the age of 18 or whatever, still has access to those records, like that becomes a safety issue for some kids.
I mean, you're bringing up a really good point because then the matching service actually does become state by state dependent on
Yeah.
how it's all done.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's another factor. Wow.
It's a white glove approach is what we're doing, like
Yeah,
tailored,
yeah, for sure.
tailor
So
made.
here's a question because you're
Hmm.
in um another narrative I want to shake up for people is that
Yeah.
money is the root of all evil because it's
Yeah.
not. But I think that because we've had these companies and I'll name them like BetterHelp or Talkify or whatever, Talkspace, Talkify,
Yeah.
what they all suck anyway. So
Yeah, they do. They
they're
do.
all awful, right? They're
There are
all
lawsuits to prove it.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So um I think that when those companies have been on the forefront around making money and kind of doing things
Yeah.
differently in terms of tech, that there's become this insane distrust among what VC or venture, like whatever funding's behind it.
Yeah.
Been a lot of distrust around that piece too. And
Totally.
then I'm like, but companies that are doing good work also need to be funded. So like
Yeah.
how is that getting talked about as you're talking with stakeholders or VC or angel investors and things like that?
I like to liken taking money from a VC to getting married or to be vulgar. Who are you getting into bed with?
Right.
Right. Because whatever they have, you will then have. And it's a vulgar comparison, but honestly, it's the closest thing to compare it to.
For sure. There's a
Um,
reason why we say getting in bed with and we're talking
e-
about
exactly, exactly, right. So you need to be careful. And I think for me, listen, I have been bootstrapping my startup for the past year. I would love to be paying myself. Things are getting tight, but not it. I would sooner um, go completely broke than take a check from a VC fund that I don't trust to let me run the company the way that is for the betterment of therapists and patients in this specific case, or the betterment generally for my users. Um, I think there's a lot of people who glorify getting VC money. And I think really, it's really funny. I heard this from last week at Tech Week. I heard this from a VC named Jenny Fielding. And she said, if you could put me out of business, put me out of business, right? If you don't have to take VC money, don't take it. And I think there's a lot of that going around right now. But I think a lot of people, there's a lot of benefits. VCs, they can open up a lot of doors. I think at the end of the day, it just matters that you're doing your own due diligence, just like they're doing due diligence on you, and that you are ensuring that the person you're getting into bed with, you can actually trust, not to make decisions that ruin the mission of your company. You just have to be careful.
Right.
Yeah,
They exist.
they do exist. They do exist. And I get it. I understand, people saying money is the root of all evil. I get it. I understand it. But at the same time, like you said, companies that are doing good work still need to be funded. And if you don't have connections, like I don't have VC connections, right? I'm building my network from scratch. I don't have a family member I can be like, hey, go call up your friend who you play golf with every Thursday to write me a check. You got to do it from scratch. They exist. They're hard to get in front of without those warm networks. So you just have to keep working at it.
Yeah. Yeah. It does. Who you know does matter.
Network is your net worth, as they say.
Which is true. I mean, absolutely. And I do think that Arthur Brooks talks about having your real friends and your deal friends. But I
Yeah.
do think you have to be a crossover in the sense that
Yeah.
your deal friends can also have a shared mission as you.
Yeah.
And that I think we're in interesting times given, AI is all the rage.
Yeah.
Everything feels like it's AI driven, which is actually making it feel more boring. Like I was so
Yeah.
so jazzed by just like, oh, like what's happening? Not like good.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to formulate a good or bad opinion. I was just trying to figure out like what is it and how's it going to shake up our field? And it
Yeah.
already is and has.
Already is. Yeah. Look at
100%.
the chat bots, the therapist chat bots, which nauseate me. But what are you gonna do?
Right, exactly. And like people are using ChatGPT. And so
Yeah.
I'm trying to and it's trying to figure out how to welcome in the conversation with clients rather than being like, please don't do that. Like, in between
Totally.
sessions, almost like, what is it that you're searching? What is it you're getting out of it and getting like curious about it?
Yeah.
And I think that where anytime a pendulum swings into so far one direction,
Yeah.
we're having chatbots for everything,
Yeah.
companions, therapists, doctors, lawyers,
Yeah.
parental figures, whatever it is that you want to create, an erotic, romantic partnership, whatever it is, you can create it.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
that's just is like it's an available option now.
Yep.
Like it's there. But then I also think the pendulum's gonna swing into this other direction and like kind of more of what you're doing, which is
Yeah.
how do we create something that is way more human centered? Because
Yeah.
this is creating like illnesses, right? We're talking about AI delusions and like the AI codependencies and things like that. And I'm like,
Children are harming themselves,
right.
right? That's like, that should be full stop
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
More than 10 kids. I don't know anymore. I tried to keep track of it so I could use that as to check myself, right?
Yeah.
But I lost track of it because it just got so depressing.
Yeah.
That should be full stop. I'm
Right.
full stop.
Right. But
Yeah.
as we know, and especially when we're talking about something like technology,
Yeah.
there's access everywhere. It's like
Yeah.
there's not it feels like it's in the water. Like it's
Yeah. Yeah. The Pandora's box is open. Yeah.
Right. And here we are. But then I think then there is going to be more opportunities for people to create more human-centered businesses. So
Totally.
I say business opportunities, whether that's a third space,
Mhm.
creating a therapist platform where people can really connect on a deeper human level.
Yeah.
I mean, run clubs and things like that have been blowing up over the past few years.
Mhm.
And then I just think that there's gonna be more opportunities for these spaces to exist. At least that's my
Optimistic.
optimistic.
Yeah.
Yes, I am like rose-colored glasses. This could be fantastic. Yeah.
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 Um, I I I've always been like a Sisyphist, right? You know, life is the meaning of your life is whatever you decide to make out of it.
Mhm.
Um, right. And I think that a lot of people, and I have a little bit of a cynical point of view on this. A lot of people are making meaning of, let's say, different things, not human centered things, right? So we have all of these products that are coming in, they're untested, AI is unregulated, um, and it creates problems. Now, listen, there's been a lot of great things. So many people more than ever have been able to create apps, right? I think that is so powerful. Create tools for their daily life, anything. I think it's huge. I love it. Truly. I don't love the other shit, right? I really don't. That comes along with it. You know, there's a new term like AI psychosis. Yeah, like this is like a real thing. And um there's the bad outweighs the good here in my opinion. I think that they're, you know, in the way that we're actually implementing AI. You know, I I want AI to load my dishwasher and like do my laundry. I would like to be in front of a, you know, a piece of canvas
Right.
and painting and doing all the creative stuff, right? But we don't have a society that's built for those kinds of things. So
Wait, can I tell you something?
yeah, please.
Have you heard of this is happening? There's a
No, I
company
have
called
not.
okay, ready? There's a company called
Yeah.
Shift. All right.
Called
Company
called what?
Shift.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
They are having people come to your house. They will clean your house for free. Based in New York. Clean your house for free. People are coming with cameras strapped to their head. They're going to have a robot that mimics the actions of someone doing your dishes, making your bed, all your household chores that you don't want to be doing. So I, yeah, like there's that. So there's that one. There's another
See, like
one.
I hear that. I hear that,
Yeah.
right? But then I'm thinking, I'm like, all right, who's being exploited to do these tasks to
Yeah.
collect this data?
Have you seen that there are companies that are
Paying
in
people to keep cameras in their house and
their
watch
house?
all of their movements. Yeah. OpenAI is
Yeah.
doing it.
There's companies that are in overseas that are
Yeah.
doing like packaging for clothing, and that every
Mhm.
employee has to wear a camera
Yeah.
because they're going to have robots take over their jobs. So it's like, the whole thing is just
Yeah.
I I think that we already are in an existential purpose crisis,
Yeah.
but this is just going to further it. I mean, if you're not doing anything, then what are you doing?
Right. And
If
that's
you're not even making your bed,
right.
what are we going to care for? Like, how are we
Right.
going to show that we care about ourselves, our
Yeah.
family, whatever it might be?
As somebody who is like one of my love languages is acts of service. Actually, my main love language is acts of service. I love doing things for people. Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't get it. Don't get it. Yeah. It's
but
wild.
it is
Yeah.
not to get
It's
all doom and
nuts.
gloom.
Well, you know, I don't know. You know, I'm hoping that by doing what I'm doing, um, I can eventually have a platform, right? To speak on encouraging the next generations of people, of builders, creators, of humans, right? To build things and solve problems that they care about. And to kind of, if you see a wrong that you want to right, you can right it. You can right that wrong yourself without needing to, you know, look and do whatever's trending at a given minute on Twitter. I refuse to call it X. even though I just did, but anyway, you can be in tech, right? And you can build things that matter and solve real problems without making another ChatGPT wrapper, or any of the other things. You can still solve real problems for real people, and care about what other people are going through. It does not have to be about making. There's this new term called a decacorn. Because yeah, it used to be that if a tech company is really successful, they'd be referred to as a unicorn, right? But now there's a new level, which is a decacorn, and I'm just like, oh, why? Why? Right? It's like, okay, sure. And it just pretty much means they're rolling in money. Like they're making so much money. Like their revenue
Yeah.
is, yeah, I don't remember the exact number, but like it's insane. Yeah, I think it's like 100 million ARR, annual recurring revenue. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nuts. Anyway, yeah,
That's so crazy. No, this gives a lot of insight into what the behind the scenes is, I think, for anyone who is building and in tech and what this all
yeah.
looks like. So I totally appreciate your transparency and for you coming on and talking about this. I mean,
I'm an open book.
I
I'll
appreciate
answer any question.
yeah.
Somebody finds me on the street, you can ask me any question. I promise you, if I will answer it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Ocean Labs. If they're yeah. So where can people find you? Where can we follow what you're building and doing?
Yeah. So I am social media agnostic these days. So I try to be off of all social media because I was just spending way too much goddamn time on it. So I'm primarily on LinkedIn, just because I have to be. When I do occasionally post, which I'm too busy doing everything else to post, you might find a post there. But you can follow me on LinkedIn, just Devyn Lowry, and it's Devyn, Lowry. For Ocean, you can find us at tryocean.io. If you are a therapist and looking to get more patients, clients, reach out to my email. My personal work email is devon@tryocean.io. Please send me an email. And we'll be in touch. We're getting ready to launch our beta on June 25th, which is super, super exciting. We're going to be doing a webinar. And if you're somebody who's looking for care, we're going to be starting to send out the early sign up and intake. Hopefully at the end of this week, all goes according to plan. And yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get you matched to therapist that's right for you.
This is so exciting.
We try.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for coming on and
Thank you for having me.
all the ins and outs. Yeah, you're welcome back. And until next time,
Anytime.
everyone, yes. Until next time, everyone, stay connected. Drink Larry's coffee. Link is in the show notes. Stay caffeinated, stay connected, and get off of your phone. So
Go touch grass.
go touch grass and, other humans with consent. All right. All right. Enjoy. Bye, everyone.
Bye.